A little more than an hour ago, a plane plunged from the sky and crashed into the ground on Drop Forge Lane. And I can show you right here on the map the location. The plane, according to eyewitnesses, had its wheels down, was trying to make an approach to the Montgomery County Air Park.
We have Pete Parringer off to the side. We're going to give you a little bit of information directly from the spokesperson, Pete Parringer, with Montgomery County Fire. Let's listen in a little bit.
Rescue Services are going to brief us now on what he's been able to collect. Pete?
Well, we did have a report of a plane crash at about 10:45. We received information. Of course, we're in a neighborhood just northwest of the Montgomery County Airport. But we believe that there were at least 3 passengers on board. At this time, of course, they were not able to survive the crash and the fire. We did have several homes that were damaged. Several were on fire. I don't have the status of any of the occupants of any of those homes at this point.
Let me show you around. Of course, you have the main home with all the damage. We've been told by neighbors that 3 children live in that home, but you heard Pete Parringer, the spokesperson for Montgomery County Fire, say that they do not know who was home at the time. Now, just to the left, you have another home where there's what looks like a fuselage right in the driveway of the home there. They've been spraying that foam to try to put out the fire. And then you even have another home with some trees. It looks like the wing or the tail of this plane may have clipped that home there. And we have Brad Bell standing with me now. Brad,
a couple more details. What we know now is this was a business jet. This was a corporate jet. Embraer was the manufacturer. People who fly regional shuttles will know Embraer is a manufacturer of aircraft. So this was a business jet. And the debris, it's tough to see from here, but we saw it when we came in. It extends a ways back that way, John. You hit the nail on the head, and that is the fuselage right there. We're told that there may be a 4th person on board at this point. We're still working to gather information.
Thank you, Brad. Brad's expertise with what type of plane this is.
I saw the plane above the canopy of the trees, maybe just a couple hundred feet, struggling desperately with the maintained altitude, up, down, left to right. I tried to watch them as I was driving. I saw them barrel around to the left and kind of roll in a downward position. Immediately I saw the plume of smoke come up. I doubled around. I got into the neighborhood and just see if anything we could do, but it was just the whole house was engulfed in flames.
We tried to get there. The lady was screaming. There was a kid and there was a lady inside. So we tried to go there, but it was just like, it was a wall of heat. Hopefully no one was in that house. And hopefully this doesn't happen again. Change the routes, like the plane routes or something, man, because it's dangerous. I mean, this is a neighborhood with tons of kids. You have kids all the time hanging out here, playing in the streets. My kids play here all the time. You know, my kids are in my house. I don't want, you know, I don't know what the hell I would do if this was me. It's sad. The whole thing is sad.
We're going to head back down to the ABC 7 newsroom right now because Dave Lucas is standing by with more information on the owner of this plane. Dave, what have you got?
And our Josie Sturman of the I-Team has been digging into this and has just come up with a name. And the name is Michael Rosenberg, who's the registered agent name. The address for this Sage Aviation, which is listed as being Chapel Hill, North Carolina, but is in reality 1805 Wiley Post Trail in Port Orange, Florida. Jimmy's also been trying to get a hold of the Michael Rosenberg, who is the registered agent name, but apparently isn't at work today, and he is a pilot. We don't want to draw any inferences from that.
There's relatives of some of the families that live here starting to arrive, and we just saw a police officer hand one of the sergeants here on the scene a picture of a woman. It looked like she was in a wedding gown, maybe an old wedding picture. They're trying to identify the people who live in these homes.
There's a strange thing that happens when you realize that someone is going to die. And it's going to happen quickly. And that's the feeling that I had today watching this plane come over. I mean, I have a military background. I was a reporter for a long time. So you see a lot of bad things. And there's just this feeling as I saw him coming over, struggling to control this thing, that something very bad was happening. And it's, you know, it's always just very intense and very sad when that happens.
Yeah, Larry, you have to imagine. And so basically you're saying, based on what you saw, there was nothing that the pilot may have been able to do to avoid this. by the
It
time
did
you
not
saw
appear to me that the pilot was in control of the aircraft, no.
Okay. Larry, wow, thank you so much. We continue to get some more information into the newsroom. I believe now we're going to go to some air traffic control recordings from the time that this happened. I believe we have those for you to play for you right now.
Hey, guys, I think that Phenom just came up short. What? Oh, going in to come. Swing it around. We're going to come in 3-2, and we're going to get on the ground.
Okay, Montgomery Unicom, this is 9400 Lima. We got a Phenom crash at the end of the runway. Call emergency services. Looks like Moncaster Mill Road.
All right, we're calling now.
Thanks.
3 people are unaccounted for. They've not been able to find 3 people who were believed to be home at the time of this crash. And we understand that to be a mother, a very young child, and another young child as well. You know, I stand now and I'm looking at the grandparent of the home and just tremendous sadness right now and concern. Certainly there is still some hope, but a lot of tears and hugs now starting to happen.
We talked about Josie Sturman just a little while ago, and apparently she's gotten some new information for us and is live in the newsroom right now. Josie, what's the latest?
We started all of this out this morning contacting a company called Health Decisions based out of North Carolina, suspecting that they were in some way involved in this crash, and we have confirmed today that they are. Their CEO is the owner of the aircraft involved in this crash, and one of the casualties, his name, as you mentioned before, Michael J. Rosenberg. We spoke exclusively with his family just a few moments ago. They indicated he is an experienced pilot. They did not see this coming, obviously. He has a great history in aviation, and as we discovered, an active FAA license was medically cleared earlier today. And you're looking at a video from his firm, Health Decisions. They're a clinical research firm, and you're seeing Michael J. Rosenberg right there on your screen. This guy was a doctor, a CEO, and an experienced aviator.
A significant number of crashes at that Gaithersburg location. Can you amplify for us a little bit?
Absolutely. When you look at the NTSB crash reports, the ones available publicly on the web going back to 1983, we're talking about at least 29 crashes. There could be more than those. Of those, 3 fatal crashes and I believe 6 fatalities in all of those, but they happen at least on a regular basis. They've had 2 crashes there just in the last 6 months.
Live from the ABC 7 Broadcast Center, this is ABC 7 Breaking News.
And that breaking news is out of Gaithersburg, where we are standing by now for a press conference on that plane that crashed into a home this morning.
It happened at 1045 along Drop Forge Road, not far from the Montgomery County Air Park. Maryland Bureau Chief Brad Bell is live at the scene to begin our team coverage tonight. Brad?
Yeah, well, what we want to do right away is give you a little bit of a sense of how this happened. We're looking down the court here at the end of this court. You can see that green on the right. Take a look, Ron. We can see that green over there. That is what we believe to be the bottom of this aircraft. We can see a door open in the fuselage. To the right of that, take a look. You can see the home that burst into flames when the plane struck.
It appears that one of the wings was catapulted over into the 3rd house where the majority of the fire damage occurred. So wreckage is really in the aircraft wreckage itself is really in 2 main areas, but it damaged 3 houses.
And we're also learning more tonight about the people on board that plane who were killed. ABC 7 IT reporter Josie Sturman has been digging through aviation records this afternoon. And Josie, I understand that one of those victims survived an earlier crash near the same airport. What did you learn about that?
Absolutely, Leon. It's unbelievable, but Michael J. Rosenberg was the pilot of a plane that crashed into the trees at the Montgomery County Air Park, the same one back in 2010. His family confirmed that for us exclusively earlier today as we tried to track down who was involved in this crash. They say Rosenberg was an experienced pilot, and tonight they are in shock. Now, Rosenberg's earlier crash was a big one. You're looking at News Chopper 7 footage that was over the scene back in March of 2010. It shows his turboprop buried in the trees and the snow. Now, Rosenberg walked away from that crash, but his plane was destroyed. It was more than $1 million in damage.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Now, we've got something here, folks, that you really need to see. Video of the plane crash aftermath, and you will see this only here on 7. Scott Manso was at the Safeway near the crash scene when he says that he noticed the plane flying lower than normal, and that's when he ran to his car, and he went to the scene capturing this cell phone video. And in this video, you can see the wreckage, you can see the house on fire there, you see pieces of the plane right next to the children's swing set. Gives you a really good sense of what it was like immediately after that crash.
Yeah, and you could see one of the first responders there walking up and just what looked like sheer panic on his face. Couldn't believe what he was seeing. That video is unbelievable. I cannot believe he got that close.
Phone came in real low.
Let's get back now to that breaking news of the plane that crashed into a home in Gaithersburg. We now have confirmed that this is the mother killed in that fire that resulted from that crash. Her name is Marie Gemmel. Her 2 youngest children died after a plane hit their home today. Her husband and oldest child were not at home at the time. The 2 children who did die in the crash were 3 years old and 1.5 months old.
We have new information in that breaking news story from Gaithersburg tonight, where a plane has crashed into a neighborhood.
The National Transportation Safety Board and officials in Montgomery County held a news conference just a short time ago, and we learned a number of things. Here's what we know. 6 people died in this crash. 3 victims were on the plane. 3 were inside a home, and many are wondering right now, and the question they want to know is, what caused this plane to crash?
Maryland Bureau Chief Brad Bell is live in Gaithersburg to give us some answers. Brad?
Yeah, there's really 2 things to talk about here, as you said, the plane and what happened in the house. Let me get out of the way right now. I want to push back in Ron Mounts. You can see those firefighters gathered in front of the garage of that house. They are looking at the fuselage of the plane. The NTSB is on scene now investigating. They're going to try to figure out what brought it down. One of the early things they're looking at now is the possibility of a bird strike. There was chatter on the aircraft radio. The pilot of this aircraft on his way from Chapel Hill to here reported that he had difficulty about 4 miles out. 2 miles later, he crashed. And then the house. So this aircraft came down and hit parts of 3 houses, but one of them took the brunt of it and was burst into flames, a fireball of jet fuel. And in that home, a mother, her name Marie Gemmel, and 2 little children, Cole and Devin, both very young. Devin, 1.5 months old. And what we know now is that the mother was huddled in an interior bathroom trying to shelter those children. She actually was able to make a phone call. She told her husband what was going on.
Horror and tragedy in Montgomery County.
The house that was on fire, which I now understand, a mother and 2 kids passed away in that, was fully engulfed in flame.
A family and neighbors in shock. The investigation happening now.
Leon, right now investigators remain on the scene combing through what is left of this destroyed home, and you're about to see graphic and gripping video from a man who was among the first on the scene even before first responders. Only moments after arriving at the scene of a home in flames and aircraft debris scattered, Scott Manso felt the power and witnessed the horror that is a plane crash in a neighborhood.
There's one strapped in the seat and one right under the plane.
His voice quivering, Manso did his best to steady his cell phone.
Yeah, I hopped in my car and came because I thought he was going in, saw the smoke.
He says Monday at around 10:45 a.m. he watched in disbelief from a nearby parking lot as the plane struggled to maintain altitude.
And as I'm watching him, he rocks hard over to the left and then very hard over to the right. And I thought, well, that guy could be in trouble.
Seconds later, the twin-engine private jet crashed into homes on Drop Forge Lane, about a mile short of Montgomery County Airpark.
Jumped out of the car, hopped over the fence. That's when I turned on my camcorder. There wasn't a lot of fire around the fuselage, and I was thinking if there was somebody in there, they need to get out.
The plane sliced its way through 3 homes. Investigators say the fuselage came to rest in one front yard. A wing filled with fuel slammed into the home next door, igniting the house on fire.
And it was hot. I mean, I'm standing over at the neighbor's house, and it was really hot, so anybody in that house would have been in trouble.
Officials say Marie Gemmel, her young sons, Cole and Devin, as seen here on Facebook, were found huddled near each other in an upstairs bedroom. where they tried but could not find refuge.
Our mission is to find out not only what happened, but why it happened, because we want to make sure that something like this never happens again.
Now, we should note that National Transportation Safety Board investigators are nowhere near having an understanding as to how this plane fell from the sky, ending up costing 6 lives. But we do know that they are looking at all possibilities, including the possibility that a bird or birds hit that aircraft. Live in Gaithersburg, Jay Korf, ABC 7 News.
Okay, thank you, Jay. New at 11 now. We're getting our first crack at listening to the 911 calls that went out moments after the jet crashed.
We just heard it. We heard a giant explosion, and we looked out the window, and it looks like a house is on fire.
Hey, we do have help on the way. Are you on scene? Are you involved?
No, I'm over here standing in my driveway. My buddy and I watched it go over, and it was wobbling from side to side.
Just 2 of several calls, many describing trouble for the pilot moments before that crash. The neighborhood where those calls came from isn't far from the Montgomery County Air Park, about a mile or so away. And tonight, residents there tell us that they are just in shock. 3 members of a beloved family, one just a matter of weeks old, dead tonight. Tom Rousey spoke with some of those neighbors tonight. Tom, they have just got to be devastated.
So many are, and they say that the woman who passed away and her kids were just so well known and well liked around here. Here's what investigators say actually happened this morning with this plane. The first house hit was actually behind me. A wing clipped the window where that purple is there, and then much of the jet continued in another house behind that tree there. That's where most of the jet wound up. But investigators say one wing was catapulted into the third house on the right, and it had a lot of fuel in it, and that's what led to the giant fire that claimed the lives of the 3 people inside. Tonight in the distance, you could see the lights of the airport the jet never made it to. Less than a mile away is the devastation it left.
I go running to the street.
Carlos Montoya lives right nearby and says he bolted to the house to help. He says he looked into the first floor window, didn't see anyone, and soon after there was another explosion. This video he shot shows how bad it was. He says he had no idea his neighbor Marie was inside with her 2 boys, but by this point, no one could have saved them.
I cannot help because it's too late. That's why my neighbor died. I'm trying to help. That's why I feel bad.
Tonight, Marie Gemmel's husband, Ken, posted a picture on Facebook of his wife, along with 3-year-old Cole and 1.5-month-old Devin. Investigators say Marie had taken the boys to an upstairs bathroom to try to escape the flames when they were likely overcome by smoke.
We just talked to her with my wife last week with a little child with a stroller walking down the street.
Maksudal Haq lives next door to the Gemmels and used to commute with Marie.
Such a wonderful lady. It's very sad. I really don't know what to say.
Also killed were 3 people on the jet, including Michael Rosenberg. His family is local, but he is CEO of Durham, North Carolina-based Health Decisions. And as for the Gemmel family, 3 of the 5 members died inside that home this morning. The survivors are the husband, who I mentioned, Ken Gemmel, as well as a young daughter neighbors say was at school at the time. There's been a site on the internet, a GoFundMe site, set up to raise money for the family. I just checked a few moments ago, and in just 5 hours, it had raised nearly $44,000 to help the family out. And a lot of folks also saying that they're going to be praying for that family over the coming days. In the neighborhood, reporting live tonight in Gaithersburg, I'm Tom Rousey, ABC 7 News.
All right, thank you, Tom. That family could use the prayers. Now, we spoke with several residents there who live in that area who say that they've been voicing concerns about low-flying planes in the air above their homes for some time now. Some of them even went to the county to ask about changing flight paths to and from the air park.
This has been a fear that the planes coming into and out of the air park, that one day we would have an accident like this. And we've tried to talk about maybe readjusting flight patterns, and to no avail. And so here we stand today.
No one at the air park commented on the flight path issue today. We referred instead to the county's Revenue Authority. That board has not yet returned our calls. NTSB records show that there have been 29 aircraft accidents there since 1983. Stay with ABC 7 and WJLA.com for the latest information on the investigation happening in Gaithersburg. Live coverage begins tomorrow morning on Good Morning Washington starting at 4:24 a.m.